call the regular meeting of the Nashville Planning Board to order. First point of business is I note that we have a quorum, and I thank our newest member, Lord Harper, for joining us this evening. And again, I note we have a quorum for doing business. For you, it has been previously published by staff. We have the minutes of the January 30th meeting. Is there any call for adjustment to the minutes? There being no call for adjustments or alterations, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as published?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Mr. Harper's made a motion. Mr. Strickland's made a second. The minutes are approved. We'll now go to the rezoning of property known as 1860 US 64A. Request rezoning from A1 to I1. Do I have a staff report?
Yes, sir. Good evening, town council. Good evening, members of the planning board. Also, before we get started, I'd like to take time to introduce our newest employee to the town, Ms. Thomasine Jones. She comes as a 15-year experienced veteran from the city of Wilson. She took the position I had as the planning and code enforcement officer, so she will be working with the planning board and the board of adjustment. I know a few of you members do serve on that board also. She'll be helping assist with all that and other things in the office. So if you cannot get me on the phone, you'll be able to get Ms. Jones, and we're just glad to have her aboard.
Thank you, sir. Welcome from all of us.
Mr. Chairman, before we go into tonight's rezoning request 1860 US 64A, I will go over the procedures for the planning board and also for the general public so they are aware. Pretty much conduct of the planning board, this meeting is scheduled as a public hearing so the public can obtain information about the items of the board agenda. The meeting will be conducted in the following order of each agenda item. Staff overview of the request, presentation by the applicant and others in support. The applicant is here to make a presentation. Questions from the board to the applicant, questions from the board to the general public, comments, votes by the board. As always, we do not have to vote tonight. We can choose our option to table this to our next meeting. So with procedures being done, we will go ahead and go into the text amendment Z22402 for the town of Nashville on the property of 1860 US 64 Nashville, NC. I'm gonna slide this back a little bit. I think I talk loud enough where you guys can hear me. And also for the general public, you can follow along on the computer. I'm gonna try to do both at the same time. So the applicant, the Bachelor S.A. Harris, and her is on the owner of this tract. National Development LLC is looking as the applicant for this property. National Development LLC has requested that the property of 1860 US 64A, which is in the town of Nashville ETJ limits, to be rezoned from A1 to I1 for better use of the builder's use. The property 1860 US 64A has a parcel number of 039955, a PIN number 289100507800. The property resides in town of Nashville ETJ limits. The purpose of rezoning this property is for the builder to be able to construct a storage building. I take it that we always say that you have done your due diligence and read your packet thoroughly, so we're going to highlight on some things so we can get to the public hearing portion of this rezoning so that the board can hear members of the public and also hear the applicant that's applying. But if you look north of this property, is I1 zoning manufacturing, A1 residential, double I is to the south. Those are the properties off Avis Lane that's right behind it. To the east of is A1 agriculture, and to the west is A1 I1. That's residential and agriculture mix. That's going back towards Nashville, where it's going back over 64 bypass. I think we already know what our A1 zoning is, so we don't have to read it verbatim. It's pretty much an agriculture zoning district. You find that most in your ETJ areas of your towns. And they are asking to rezone to I1 industrial. Certain land situated to be suitable for industrial development used along railroad sides of major thoroughfares, but where certain operations could advisory affect neighborable properties. The purpose of the district is to permit normal operation of almost all interests except from those that be detrimental to adjoining properties. So our existing agriculture, our request for industrial 1, if we continue on, if you look at the parcel right here, 1860 in your packet, that is on page 2. This is a vicinity map for Nash County GIS. The property is roughly about 35 acres, 34.44. We'll round it and just say 35 to make an easier number. Acres. If you look at page 2, You can see it's indicated this property is A1, but the adjoining property to the left of it is already I1. Look at the future land use map, it says agriculture, but if you also look at our future land use map that's provided for you the first of the year, you can see that our comp plan recommends this being industrial going into the future. Land development plan for 2022 off the Dash County GIS website that Dash County provides us says that this area is slated for municipal growth. If you look at our next page, I believe that's page 5, that's just a Google Earth photo, and also for the general public, it's this one right here, just overlay of the property right here. Here's Avis Lane. And our next page, Mr. Chairman, is pretty much showing that we did go out and post the property on April 11, 2024. As we said, that's pretty much a sign out there post so people didn't know about it and get a heads up advance that this rezone request was coming in. It was going towards Spring Hope South, and across the street was the manufacturing plant. If you look at our next page in the table of allowed uses, you can see that warehouse men is used not exceeding 40 square feet each, or a permitted use in an I1 zone district in our table of allowed uses in the town of Nashville zoning ordinance. We will get into the finding of facts, and then I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of the public hearing. Finding facts are as follows. The Nashville Development LLC, the applicant, requests this rezone a total of 34.44 acres at the above said location of 1860 US 64 Highway. The rezone application was received on April 9, 2024. Public hearing notice letters were mailed out to approximately 14 property owners within a 500-foot radius on April 15, 2024. Additional notice letter was mailed to Town Nashville P.O. Box 2 to ensure that all mailing was sent out properly. Public hearing notice was posted on the town website on April 16th. The rezoning sign was posted on the property April 10th. Legal notice was advertised in Nashville Graphic for April 16th for the April 30th Planning Board meeting, April 18th and the 25th for the May 2nd, and May 2nd for the May 7th Town Council meeting. The front door of the Town Hall was posted on April 15th. Front door of the Town Nashville HD Cooley Library was posted on April 15th. Return mail and public notice was mailed back to town on April 22nd, saying that we did get our letter back that we sent to ourselves. This subject property is not located within a floodplain. This subject property is not located in Stony Creek watershed or Upper Stony Creek subwatershed. The subject property is not located within the NCDEQ water supply watershed. Mr. Chairman, that is all the information that was provided from me and also from the applicant for this rezoning request. Before we go into my recommendations, I would like to turn it back over to you for the purpose of hearing from the general public and our advocate in the public hearing format. Mr. Chairman, I yield to turn it back over to you, sir.
I'll now open the hearing for RZ 2024-02. Is there anyone signed up to speak for the planning board? If so, please read me their name.
Mr. Chairman, we do have one person, Chase Massey.
Please come up if you'd like and give us your name and your address.
Chase Massey is one of the applicants and developers for this site, but we can also, after you get done speaking, poll the general out to see if anybody else would still like to have a chance to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sean. Mr. Matthews.
Good evening. Chase Massey, 8951 Harvest Oaks Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Ms. Massey.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of the applicant. My company, FLM Engineering, submitted the application for the rezoning request. I did just want to add one thing to Sean's presentation. We are just requesting only about 7.5 acres to be rezoned
Yes,
at this time, as shown on the map that we submitted.
Yes, sir.
So it's not the full 34 acres. But as we noted in our application, we felt this request to an I-1 rezoning district meets the intent of the adjacent parcels that to the west of us is already zoned I-1, and across 64A is also I-1. We feel it's in harmony with the surrounding parcels there. That was all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
No questions from the board? Anybody else wish to be heard on this matter?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, I'm supposed to give you your name and address, ma'am.
My name is Gloria Avent Kindred, 2109 Neighborhood Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm interested because I have land on Avent Lane, and I guess I was sorry I missed the beginning. I'm interested in what type plan, what are the plans to build there?
Sean, would you address that please for the board?
Yes, sir, I could, and if you would like to, Mr. Chairman, I would yield that to the applicant. If they would like to answer that question, do you want me to answer it, sir?
Mr. Massey, would you like to answer that from the floor? What is the plan for the development for this rezoning?
Storage use there, as noted on our application,
Yes.
rezoning to I-1 for a storage. use.
Storage units.
Self-storage.
So no type of industrial or things that make the typical things with industrial, storage units, ma'am.
Okay, will this property be annexed?
It will be annexed. I have talked with the developers. They are in agreement of annexing the property to the town.
And what does that do for Avent Lane?
Right now, we do not do forced annexation, so Avis Lane would not be annexed in. It would just be this property.
Okay, and I'm not sure I take it up here, but to get a grant for water and sewage, it's my understanding it will have to be annexed. Is that for another meeting or some other?
That's for another meeting with the town council and stuff like that, man. But we do appreciate your question.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from the floor? None being,
Nancy Westbreak, Nashville Graphic.
Nancy, would you mind taking the podium so people can hear you?
Nancy Westbreak, Nashville Graphic. You say that it's for planned development of self-storage units. What would be the number of units that you would be anticipating?
We haven't capped that number yet. This is strictly just the rezoning. We haven't run the numbers on how many storage units we can get in currently on that 7.5 acres.
Okay.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
please return. Thank you, ma'am.
I know that, yes, it's greater than it's greater than 7 acres. Are you gonna do it in the front of the highway, 64?
Yes, ma'am. Sean, do you have a copy of our map that we submitted with our request?
Yes, sir, but I cannot get to our drive over here on the website, but I can go off Google Earth and kind of give her a...
Or go back to that. Can I
Sure,
go back
please.
to the first slide you had? Maybe I can show you on the map. That shows the parcel boundary. So this is our parcel here, ma'am. The 7.5 acres is on this portion here. So I believe Avents Lane is right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's right. The 7.5 is on this side of the parcel.
Okay, so you, all the grass on that side will be cut? Or just a portion of it?
On this side here up front will likely be cut, yes. Yes, ma'am.
That was beside Avent Lane, not,
Not on Avent Lane, no, ma'am.
no, beside Avent Lane.
Beside Avent Lane, no. It's just this. All our request is on the left side there.
All right, so you're gonna leave all those bushes and trees there?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Massey,
Yes.
does this require the property to be subdivided?
It does, and that's included with our request there.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Any more comments from the floor? We thank the public for their comments. Mr. Massey, we thank you. At this point, we'll close the public hearing. Board members, discussion. Questions for Mr. Massey, for Sean, or discussion among ourselves?
Mr. Chairman, while the board members are going through their thinking and deliberation discussion period, if you don't mind, I would be obliged to give you the staff recommendations from the staff.
What is the recommendation of staff, please?
Members of the planning board, after looking at this rezoning request, staff recommends the approval for the rezoning of property 1860 US 648 from A1 to I1 because the rezoning will not have any detrimental impact on the neighboring properties or existing landowners. Since the adjacent property neighbor is across it from the petition property is already designated I1. Staff is in agreement that this rezone is compatible to the town of Nashville zoning ordinance, comp plan, future land use plan, and all other relevant plans on file with the town of Nashville with regards to future growth in the town.
Thank you, sir. Ask the board at this time based on the information provided, based on the staff report, we have three options. Option 1 is no change. We take the recommendation from staff. Option 2 is there's no change to the ordinance and we disapprove. And option 3 would be we approve with recommendations or restrictions or additions. So the pleasure to the board is, how do you want to proceed? Option 1, 2, or 3? I need a motion. One of these three, if y'all take a minute to study, please. And with that motion, I need to comment that it's within the public interest.
Yes, sir.
It's not within the public interest of why we're making an alteration.
And my recommendation for that, Mr. Chairman, would be if the board is in approval for this rezone request, I would say option 1 would be our best option for tonight, if the board is in agreement of it. If not, then you would go with option 2 to disapprove it. And still, if we either approve it or disapprove it, it has to go before the town council. Again, another public hearing format where the town council can either adopt our statement of consistency or deny our statement of consistency and write their own that evening.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make the option, we accept option number 1. Consider based on staff comments that the information was consistent with the land use already in the area.
We're going to have a motion. We accept in option 1 that we take staff's approval. Recommend option 1 based on it is consistent with the present land use.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Strickland. All in favor say aye. 4-0 vote for aye. Not voting, of course, because there's no tie. It is passed. Is there any more business before the board?
Mr. Chairman, we do not have nothing else before the planning board tonight. Our next meeting, if deemed necessary, will be May 28, 2024 at 6 p.m. if needed. Of course, if we do need to meet that night, we will send everything out ahead of time as we always do to give you time to review over it and to get prepared for the meeting.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate staff's involvement. I thank our manager for being here. I thank the public for showing up to help us guide this wonderful town. And at this point, unless there's any further business, I ask for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Lewis made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Harper, second. We're adjourned. We'll see you in 30 days.
Yes, sir.